The village of ancient Nemea in Greece lies in a small but fertile valley in the eastern foothills of the Arcadian Mountains. Well known today for its award-winning red wine, 2,500 years ago this valley echoed with the shouts of thousands of visitors to its athletic festival. That festival was centered at the temple of Nemean Zeus, 3 columns of which have stood ever since they were first erected in 330 BC. The Nemean Games were part of the ancient cycle that included athletic festivals at Delphi, Isthmia, and, best known today, Olympia. A sacred truce protected visitors to each of these festivals, and the best athletes were those who won at least once at each of the 4 sites. Nemea was also known as the location of the first labor of Heracles, his wrestling and defeat of the ferocious Nemean lion. In an effort to understand better the history of Nemea and its games, the University of California at Berkeley began archaeological excavations here in 1973, a project which continues today. Those excavations have uncovered thousands of artifacts, many buildings such as baths, a hotel, houses, and important insights into the history of the Nemean Games, including a destruction of the festival center by violence and a shift of the games away from Nemea for several decades. When the games returned, Nemea was rebuilt, especially the Temple of Zeus, which we see today, and which served then as the religious center for the games. The 3 columns which have remained standing since then, and the other 29 columns fallen around them, have been a beacon to the archaeologist and the architect and the engineer, an invitation to restoration. And so, in 1999, the reconstruction of the Temple of Nemean Zeus began. That reconstruction continues today and is providing new insights into ancient engineering techniques. Excavations of the area around the temple also continue to provide new historical data as the slow but careful removal of centuries of earth continues. The temple and the sanctuary around it have not, however, been the only discovery by the University of California at Nemea. About 400 meters southeast of the temple lies the stadium where the athletic competitions of the Nemean Games took place. Here, earth had washed in from above to a depth of as much as 7 meters and covered the remains of an ancient locker room where fallen column drums and roof tiles and other debris allow a full picture of a building with a central open court surrounded by colonnades where athletes and judges prepared for the games. As exciting as it was to find the first recorded locker room from Greek antiquity, it was a special thrill to discover the tunnel which connected that locker room to the stadium track. The tunnel is more than 36 meters long and in a good state of preservation. It gives a sense of what it was like to be an athlete waiting to run out onto the track, especially when one sees the ancient graffiti scratched by those athletes on the tunnel wall. The stadium itself is typical of ancient running tracks, long and narrow, with turns in the long-distance races made sharply around posts. But the Nemea Stadium has also produced details of athletic practice that are revealing, such as the starting blocks with grooves for the toes of the runners, and the basis for a starting mechanism that was intended to provide a fair start for all the competitors. Indeed, this starting mechanism, which prevented any favoritism at the start of the race, emphasizes those objective criteria, not susceptible to subjective judgments, which were the hallmark of the ancient games. False starts and fouls were obvious to all and were punished with flogging by the judges who were equipped with long switches. Any archaeologist would be proud of such discoveries. Certainly I am. My name is Stephen Miller, and since 1973, I've had the privilege of directing the University of California's excavations at Nemea under the aegis of the American School of Classical Studies at Athens and the Ministry of Culture of Greece. Recently, a new discovery has emerged from Nemea, one that I never anticipated. Not a discovery of an antiquity, but of the human spirit. In 1995, a group of local people, farmers, lawyers, bankers, doctors, came together at Nemea to found the Society for the Revival of the Nemean Games. It was their notion that the discoveries that I had made at Nemea could provide the base for an international festival where anyone and everyone could participate. And so in 1996 and again in 2000, the Society held the new Nemean Games. And to these games came more than 1,300 people to participate from 45 different countries, ranging in age from 10 to 93, of no particular athletic ability, to take a step back into history. And by doing so, they became a part of our enduring quest for peaceful competition through an acknowledgement of our common humanity. They did this by reliving ancient athletics. In ancient Greece, athletes entered the locker room, removed their clothes, and spread olive oil over their bodies. There are many depictions of naked athletes pouring the oil out of small jars, which typically held a day's supply. Today's Nemean athletes remove their shoes. The step back in time will have immediate contact with ancient earth through the soles of their feet. The ancient locker room is covered with a tent where the modern competitors remove their clothes. They don tunics, since no one has yet been completely authentic and competed in the nude. But many do apply oil to experience other ancient practices. Prepared for history, they leave the locker room and approach the tunnel entrance to the stadium. Since we do not want any modern additions to the ancient tunnel graffiti, life-size photographs of the tunnel wall provide a place for each competitor to record his participation in the new Nemean Games. Now the oath, modeled on the one given 2,500 years ago at Olympia, is administered. The athletes respond in Greek. Orchizome, I swear. The judges, wearing black and holding switches like their ancestors, go through the tunnel toward the stadium. The judges' work is about to begin. In antiquity, a trumpeter, on the right of this vase, signaled when an announcement was about to take place, and a herald announced the competitors by name. At the revival of the Nemean Games, modern-day officials perform the same functions. The passage through the tunnel raises goosebumps on the athletes. The transition to the 4th century BC is taking hold. Lots are drawn for lane assignments, and each athlete takes his place. The starting position is dictated by the grooves in the blocks. This stance is shown many times in ancient art. Upright, with toes of left foot in front groove and right foot in rear groove, and crouching forward over the barrier cords of the starting mechanism. The starter prepares to make the ancient call while he releases the barrier cords.
Πόδα παρά πόδα, έτοιμοι απίθεση.
Organized by age into groups of 12, not all the participants qualify as real athletes, but the sense of history belongs to all. Ancient vase paintings show winged personifications of victory, presenting the winner's tokens, a ribbon around the head and a palm branch. With those tokens, only the winner took a victory lap to the cheers of the crowd. But in the new Nemean Games, all the participants are cheered. All the runners get t-shirts and sore feet.
Έτσι με τον Παναγιώτη. Μπράβο, τον Παναγιώτη, τον πιο μικρό αθλητή λοιπόν.
In ancient times, slaves did the work that made the games go. They still do.
Πόδα παραπόδα. Έτοιμοι να πείτε. Τρέχουμε.
The new Nemean Games include women. The ancient Olympics prohibited women on pain of death. As the day wears on, the supply of victory tokens has to be replenished. There are more winners. The popularity of the new Nemean Games is reflected in the growing international participation. A 7.5-kilometer race is also run from the Temple of Heracles in the next valley back to the Nemea Stadium. This is called the Footsteps of Heracles because it reflects the path he took against the Nemean lion. The runners are allowed to wear shoes until they enter the stadium. On the final lap, bare feet once again touch ancient ground.
Bravo.
The oldest runner in 2000 was 93 years of age, and he's coming back in 2004. The games close with the award of the traditional symbol of victory at ancient Nemea, a crown of wild celery.
That all peoples of your planet.
A prayer is offered to Nemean Earth, which then extinguishes the flame of the games. And the crowd prepares to leave the stadium for the village, where the local people offer a feast to everyone. The games have grown while the excavations have progressed, and Nemea has become better known, and the Society's logo has changed as well, but the same purpose continues. You are invited to step with us into history. Join us, step into history, add your footprints to those of the ages.